Developmental language disorder, or DLD, is a neurodevelopmental condition affecting ability to learn, understand, or use spoken language, and it also causes deficits in emotion and recognition. It affects 1 in 14 students, and many teachers are not aware of this condition and is under-researched, so there is not much information available. Speech and Language UK and other authors state that students with DLD may demonstrate difficulties in understanding language and following instructions, remembering information, learning new vocabulary, pronouncing complex words, and doing homework. Students with DLD would normally use immature vocabulary and grammar, shorter sentences with word missing, lower literacy skills, including reading comprehension and written expression. Understand Reading Simple View of Reading (SVR) was developed by Gould and Turner in 1986, and the model states that reading is the product of 2 independent and sequential components, decoding and comprehension. They propose 2 types of reading disabilities, one resulting in inability to decode, dyslexia, another from the inability to comprehend, hyperlexia, and finally the combination of both, common reading disability. Hoover and Turner noted in 2018 that there were more to reading than it represented in the SVR. Duke and Cartwright argued that difficulties in reading exist beyond the simple view of reading, and that word recognition and language comprehension overlap. They extend the simple view of reading to include extra areas of cognition and propose 2 new components, bridging process and active self-regulation. The bridging process explains the variance between language comprehension and word recognition, which influences fluency and vocabulary, while active self-regulation explains the role of reader in comprehension, which includes executive functioning skills such as attention, working memory, inhibitory control, and cognitive flexibility, in addition to motivation, engagement, and use of reading strategies or metacognitive strategies. Further research has demonstrated that executive functioning contributes to reading comprehension. Hunt, Both, and Van Beuningen noted the importance of cognitive flexibility in literacy and support that top-down processes are more important for skilled readers from upper primary students. The research supports AVR regarding the role of reading fluency and bridging process that predicts the reading comprehension. They also support the building content knowledge to help reading comprehension. Leishman and Pratt consider that SVR does not capture all the factors related to reading comprehension for students with DLD, with AVR presenting a better model. They state that language comprehension is a key area for impairment for students with DLD, which includes verbal reasoning, syntax, and theory of mind. They present evidence that children with DLD have difficulties in the bridging process, showing word learning deficits and morphological difficulties. DLD students have lower performance than their peers on executive functioning. Learn and colleagues propose that factors outside language comprehension and word recognition influence students with DLD, such as bridging process and self-regulation. Students point out that word reading fluency is positively related with reading comprehension for kids with DLD, as well as vocabulary and grammatical processing tasks. There is also a positive relationship between language comprehension and reading comprehension. Colleagues list 3 additional factors that influence reading and comprehension for students with DLD: expressive language ability, disorder history, and severity of condition. They cite that students with DLD are heterogeneous and varying broad range of reading comprehension abilities and social cultural contexts. Therefore, a student needs to receive appropriate and target support. Readability level, text genre, and topic may need to be considered for advanced readers. Teachers also need to consider the cognitive processes involved in self-regulation for children with DLD, especially working memory, which is essential for decoding, storage, and retrieval of vocabulary for reading comprehension. Research indicates that think aloud strategies show improvement in answering questions during storage and comprehension tasks. De La Heras, Dominguez, and Gonzalez have a negative perspective on DLD, as it states that children with DLD develop their reading 3 times lower than typically developing children. Children with DLD show slower development in their coding skills, and interventions for older children are less effective, highlighting the importance of early interventions and to adopt a proactive model regarding DLD. Based on the AVR model, the Lajeras investigate how children with DLD read sentences using keyword strategies, demonstrating that they use more semantic strategies than processing functioning words, probably due to their deficit in syntactic ability. The study recommends that the use of explicit and systematic evidence-based reading strategies to motivate and improve students' literacy. Research involved AVR and DLD, some literacy strategies emerged, such as students should be given appropriate text that suit the developmental needs. Systematic instruction in language comprehension and word reading is imperative for students with DLD, as they may require more explicit interventions and practice to build vocabulary. Explicit teaching strategies are recommended to facilitate reading comprehension and reduce cognitive load. It is important to build content knowledge to support reading comprehension, which includes new vocabulary and using top-down approach and semantic network of vocabulary. In this slide, you can find a few general strategies, including tailored and visual support that help students with DLD in all areas of learning. Research in AVR and DLD is highly relevant to the high incidence of DLD and consequences of lack of support for this group, such as literacy and reading comprehension difficulties, low academic attainment, difficulties reading relating to peers, challenging behavior, mental health problems, and low employment perspectives. It is disappointing that there is so little awareness for this disorder, and the information from this research resonates with my experience dealing with students with DLD. I also noted that I need to develop my skills to better support students with language disabilities in literacy. With DLD perform worse in literacy and numeracy than typical peers, highlighting the importance of teaching literacy and numeracy strategies so they can improve academically, supporting APST 2.5. Furthermore, literacy and numeracy are both general capabilities of the Australian Curriculum version 9, which enables students to develop skills necessary to engage with all learning areas. The Alice Springs Education Declaration states on Goal 2 that every young student should become confident and creative individuals who are lifelong learners and active members of community. To achieve this, they should have essential skills in literacy and numeracy. The declaration is also committed to improving middle years development, including emotional well-being and literacy and numeracy. The active view of reading takes into consideration active self-regulation, including motivation, engagement, and executive functioning skills, supporting DLD students' well-being and literacy development. Inclusive teaching and learning programs that suit students' abilities and interests are promoted by the Australian curriculum. It is also part of Australian professional standards for teachers to demonstrate knowledge of strategies to support students with disabilities to participate in Learn APST 1.6. However, supporting and making reasonable adjustment for students with DLD observes the Disability Discrimination Act of 1992 and the Disability Standards for Education 2005. Finally, Alice Springs Education Declaration is also committed to supporting all young Australians at risk of education disadvantage, promoting excellence and equity. Target support can help students with disabilities reach their full potential. The AVR offers a better understanding in reading comprehension and provides strategies that support literacy with students with DLD, promoting equity and better educational outcomes. Reflecting on this essay, as a future teacher, I realized the importance of this and advantage of working with parents and the speech therapist, which is recommended by several studies. It also aligns with APST 7.3, engaging with parents and carers, and 7.4, engaging with broader community, in addition to supporting the Alice Springs Declaration commitments. I also realized the importance of furthering my knowledge in DLD, as well as strategies to support literacy and reading for other disabilities or issues affecting my students, which complies with APST 6.2, engaging with professional learning. I would like to further research the response to intervention, RTI, and implement it into my future classroom, support all students, and comply with APST 6.2 and 6.4. The information in this essay highlighted the importance of using evidence-based research and strategies, which resonates with me. And I plan to devote part of my time to research and apply new knowledge to effectively improve students' literacy. I'll ensure to collaborate with other teachers, parents, and other professionals, in addition to listening to my students and assessing their barriers, and work collaboratively with them, improving educational outcomes. In conclusion, by constantly developing my skills, I will be able to support not only my future students with DLD, but all students, creating a positive mark in their lives, improve their literacy and numeracy, and motivate them to have high expectations of themselves.